You're listening to the Things Podcast, brought to you by the Things Industries.
Hello, everyone. We are here in Amsterdam, the Things Conference, day 2. I'm Mark Poos, running this podcast. I'm Developer Relations at Edge Impulse and co-founder of IoT Stars. And I'm here with Max from Bartek, Extronics. How was the first day here at the Things Conference? I see a lot of people excited about the energy and meetings. How was for you this year?
It was really interesting. So thanks for having me on the podcast. So for me, it's the first time here. I know my colleague James has been here the last year. And it's really interesting to see the adoption of technologies like LoRaWAN just finding their footing in the industry. And especially for us coming from the explosion protection industry, it's really interesting to see so many use cases now that wireless networks are finding their way into the, I want to say, more traditional industries. And so there's a bigger need for explosion protection in hazardous industries.
Okay, tell me more about yourself and about Bartek or Extronics.
Right, so with Bartek, we celebrate 50 years of electrical industrial explosion protection. So basically, we're protecting against the ignition of hazardous atmospheres. Now, that can be gases, dusts, fibers, liquids, whatever it is. So picture a chemical plant, an oil field, an oil rig. What we do is, next to a very, very broad portfolio in explosion-protected electrical equipment, is with the acquisition of our partner, Extronics, 2 years ago, we have entered into the wireless world of explosion protection. Now, we're here with our wireless enclosure, which is, if you look at it from a basic standpoint, just a metal box. But it enables OEMs, customers, to pick whichever industrial gateway or access point they want.
Okay.
Put it into, or send it to us, put it into the enclosure. We close it up based on our explosion protection expertise. And now you can safely deploy wireless networks, wireless infrastructure in a hazardous area where you might not have been able to do so before.
When you mention metal and gateways, so how's the front of that cage here how's transmitting the gateway?
Right. Okay. Yeah. So it's not so much about a Faraday cage. So it's more about the concept of protection. So there's different technical concepts depending on which explosive zone you're in. So we're talking about zone 1 and zone 2, depending on how much of a risk a potential explosion could pose. So the technical concept is fairly simple. You bring us your gateway with external antennas. Let's say you bring us a LoRa gateway. And it doesn't really matter which manufacturer it is because we call ourselves vendor agnostic, which opens up the possibilities for all sorts of customers and OEMs. We assess the access point. Let's just call it, for argument's sake, an access point. We assess it. We connect it with, the usual power consumption and Ethernet and whatnot. We close up the box. And then we are able to screw different antennas on top to make the connection with an, as we call it, intrinsically safe RF connector. So the signal gets out of the box, but nothing that could potentially ignite a hazardous atmosphere could get out or cause an explosion.
That's, I'm not absolutely an expert on explosion protection. So tell us more, what are the use cases where you need to protect the infrastructure from explosion protection?
Right. So most of the time it's about obviously protecting assets and people. Now, as I said, I think in the beginning, picture an oil field or picture a chemical plant, right, where there's lots of combustible gases or vapors or liquids. I think the easiest is, as a kid or as a young adult, you go into the basement and you smell gas. You're not supposed to switch on the light.
Okay.
Right? Why is that? Because if you switch on a light, within that switch, there's an electrical signal. If you have a big gas bubble, a little electrical spark might be enough to cause an explosion. Now, we prevent that from happening with, again, different technical concepts that would maybe be too much for this format right here. But what it allows us and what it allows our customers is basically circumvent a very cost-intense and time-intense certification process.
Yeah.
So all you have to do when you're a client or a potential customer who's looking into these opportunities is bring us your desired piece of equipment and we'll do the rest. Now that leaves us the opportunity to come up with an absolutely holistically standardized, certified solution that you can then use almost worldwide.
So a manufacturer comes to you with a contract with an oil company, for example, and they tell you, I need to have these certifications to install my gateways, is a refinery or whatever it is. And what you do is basically you accelerate the process of getting this.
Exactly, and we facilitate the process because we've experienced a lot of times potential customers coming to us and saying, can you help us? Because we would be able to score a potential project, but we don't have the expertise in explosion protection because there are certain certificates you have to have called ATEX and IECX and whatnot. So oftentimes the bus stops there. Now, if you come to us, we open up new opportunities for potential customers to enter new markets or to score new projects. Because now you have the expertise and all you have to do is literally just send us your device and we'll do the rest. We'll send it back to you as a holistically certified system, and that gives you the opportunity to, make more business and streamline your business efficiency.
And then usually the use cases, what is we usually work, it's for industrial.
Yes.
Do you work in other type of use?
No, so I would say most of our customers are in the fields of oil and gas, chemical. There's a lot of quite some manufacturing as well. Pharmaceuticals, so wherever there's, fine powders or dust, that might also be something. So anything that can be combustible in the right concentration. So, but there's other use cases, right? So if you have a painting room where there's different fumes coming out of a spray can, that's another potential hazardous area, as we call it.
And how do you see the future in this field? So do you see new certifications coming, new regulations depending on countries?
Not so much certifications. Obviously, we're always looking to expand our portfolio of certifications. Now, most of the world, I would say, is covered by ATEX and IECX, but there's certain different countries that, concentrate on having their own certificates, such as, for example, Brazil or Northern America. Now, we're always looking into what might be next and what would be beneficial for us to have. Now, what we see here, again, and I hear that from experience from the last year from my colleagues, is many people are not aware of the combination of, concepts like LoRa or wireless or 5G and the combination with explosion protection, because they come to our stand to say, what is that? And after we explain it to them, they say, oh, that's interesting. That's really interesting because we might need that. And so we see quite a lot of development in the explosion protection world, slowly creeping more into this IoT world, which is also new for us because we're aiming to take part a lot more in these kind of conferences and trade shows, away from, let's say, the more traditional, very hardware-driven, manual kind of trade shows. And I see it really paying off.
And Max, if people want to know more about Extronics or Bartek, what do they need to do?
What do they need to do? Well, look us up. Come when you're here at the event. Come to our booth. It's you cannot miss it when you enter the venue.
It's the one with explosion.
It's exactly right. It's where everything burns now. It's to your slight left. It's a very, very bright orange. Other than that, I don't know. Maybe reach out to the organizers of the event and put them into contact with me. I look after all of Europe. I have other brilliant colleagues who cover the rest of the world. It's probably best to just either reach out to me or my colleague James.
On LinkedIn, maybe, or?
On LinkedIn, yeah, absolutely. You can find me just under my name, Maximilian Chuck. You will find me with Bartek. And other than that, let's talk and make the world a safer place.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Max. A lot of success.
Thank you, Mark. Been a pleasure.
See you in the next episode. Bye.
Absolutely.